Welcome to the Kiwi Odyssey channel. We are generating a lot of media interest at the moment with our delay, and it's really interesting, the different stories. We had a couple of residents that decided to walk to Derry, London Derry, and we also had a couple of residents that got engaged, so that's super exciting. They had a fair at the Botanic Gardens, so Mark and I went. There were some really cool hothouses there and winter gardens, and that was really neat to see, like a very, very old building that was built in 1828, and they did raise the roof a little bit later. The roses were beautiful. We even went back there the next day to have lunch because it's just such a great setting, and there's a lot of university students that use that park to just hang out as well. On our way, we wanted a coffee, so we went to find a cafe and we found the Ulster Museum. So we had our coffee and we went and had a look around. These dragons were really amazing. They were woven together by master basket maker Bob Johnston. They are so incredible. They used them at an after function for the Game of Thrones. We saw some pretty amazing sculptures and some awesome artwork with gorgeous colours. If you look really close, the figures don't have heads, which I found quite intriguing. We also found quite a few taxidermied animals, including a kiwi. Not something I've actually seen in a museum before. There were people abseiling down the Europa building and a gorgeous church. Now, we had another delay, so Mark and I decided to leave for the weekend and pop to Carrickfergus. It was quite an awesome time actually, because what ended up happening was it was our last sea trials, and we were able to see the Kiwi Odyssey come around the bend and sail back to Belfast. So I don't know about you, but that was pretty special for us, and I'd like to show you a video. Oh, that looks so awesome. Actually spent a good couple of hours just waiting for her to come around and watch her sail on past. Carrickfergus has the most amazing old castle, and it was a walled city as well, so we were really excited to be able to explore this castle, and well, we bought tickets and we went inside. It had the old keep there and some very old cannons as well. And the story behind the castle and the people ruling it was very interesting. But what I found the most interesting was just how thick the walls were and just going out to look at the windows there. The toilets were really interesting. They were just like a little hole up a few stairs. You can actually still hire this castle today for weddings and functions, and it's just so well preserved. Oh, and obviously the armour, that was pretty cool. You wouldn't have wanted to be a cook to have to carry all the food up all those stairs, that's all I can say. And what was super awesome was the staircase. But we got to walk down these stairs, and yeah, they wouldn't have been really big people back then, otherwise you wouldn't have fitted through the stairwell. And so quite a skinny hallway as you walk down the spiral staircase. Actually, it was crazy amazing to be able to walk through all of this castle and the different rooms and things, and think that there were people here that were fighting and killing people and trying to look after this city. There's over 800 years of history in this place. It's so hard to fathom. It was built originally around 1177. They had statue people there that were depicting what was happening, and a person escaped from the jail that they had there. At the top of the tower they had a marksman with his crossbow, and it showed you where he was shooting arrows from, and you could see what they would have seen. I didn't know this, but you had 2 gates, and they had a hole at the top where they could pour tar and stuff down on people that had got trapped in between the 2 gates. Religion was also very important, so they had a chapel and lots of different rooms where they would store food and things, but also people. And there was an educational room there which we could learn about more of the building. The keep, when they built it, was 30 metres high and the walls were 3 to 5 metres thick. And do you know how heavy chainmail is? The hood is about 11 kgs and the shirt about 27. Mark is such a good sport. I think his nose was being a bit squished there. But we really enjoyed coming to see this castle, and you really don't get to see that every day. There was a wall, another wall inside there that has obviously been taken down. These cannons were built in the 17th century. So it was built in 1177 by John de Courcy, and in 1204 Hugh de Lacy, King John in 1210, and Edward Bruce in 1315. Its capture by Schomberg for William III in 1689, and captured again by the French under Thurot in 1760. And the castle was also used by the army up until 1928, and in the 1939 to 1945 war it housed air raid shelters. So what an amazing thing that we can actually learn about this stuff now in 2024. Well, we ended up staying in Carrickfergus for a week, and the people of Carrickfergus were so lovely. Like, just from the first day we were there, people were stopping to ask if we were okay, because we had our suitcases with us waiting to get into our Airbnb, and they just wanted to make sure that we had somewhere to stay, and they were just really lovely. The town's quite quiet town, and most of the shops and things are closed on Sundays, which I think is really lovely to still have a place that's closed on Sundays. So there's only a couple of towns left in Ireland that still have their walls. One was Derry, Londonderry, as we saw when we first came to Belfast, and the ones in Carrickfergus, and they are the oldest ones here. There was a big hole put in the wall by a very large cannonball when it was breached at one point, and we got to see that cannonball that was housed in the church, so we will actually see that a little bit later. And we were able to walk around this wall, well, most of it anyway. The weather in Ireland for us mostly is quite good, because it would be winter at home, but there was a day that wasn't so nice, so I managed to get some crochet done, and we went out for a walk anyway. There was a beautiful rainbow, so we managed to capture that, and we also got to capture a nice photo of Belfast and Mark before his haircut. The Carrickfergus Museum was also really neat to go and see, and it was free, so we were able to spend some time there when the weather was not so nice. This one's a really long video for you guys, and I'm really sorry, but I need to get all of this stuff out, because we have heard that we've passed our sea trials and we are getting ready to go. So at the end of this weekend, on the Sunday, we are going to be going back to Belfast, and we've got a bit of a farewell planned in Belfast, so that will happen at the end of here. We had to move for the Friday and Saturday night. We went to Dobbin's Inn, and this is a place that's been around since as long as the castle has been. And we did a bit of a walking tour and an old school feast. And they have reportedly got a ghost in this place, which is interesting. And her name is Maud. So say hello to Maud. But the history here is crazy, and they also have a Boys Brigade museum. We went into that just because. It was on that tour that we heard about the St. Nicholas's Church. Now, we'd seen it, the outside, but we hadn't actually known about its history, and it prompted us to go and visit. There's the cannonball that went through the wall. Look how big it was. Crazy. And so we went and had a look. There was an amazing lady there that gave us a tour around this beautiful church and gave us some more history that we didn't know about as we walked through. St. Nicholas's Church was built in the early 1180s. So it's approximately 844 years old. This window depicting John the Baptist baptizing Jesus was finished in the 18th century, and it's the oldest window in this building. There are even marks in the stone where they used to sharpen their swords as they stood at the door to not let people in. And the original columns in the walls here. There's a lot that's been repaired and rebuilt over the years. Fortunately, they used to make headstones out of sandstone, and this one is the oldest one in the cemetery, but you can't read it anymore. And this holly bush grew really well in front of this one from the early 19th century. That night a guy was drumming on a rubbish bin outside our room. I took a bit of a video of his performance. That was a fitting end to our time here in Carrickfergus, and I would so recommend to go. Now, we went on some bear bikes in Belfast and we made the news, and we were all ready to go. Like and subscribe to follow us on our journey.